Hello, welcome back to the show. Another episode of Barrel Full of Daryl. That's me, Daryl, and my thing on this show is discussing music, movies, and politics. Just kidding, but there are a lot of other nice topics as well. By the way, I have new stickers sporting my new logo, created by my beautiful, talented daughter, Megan. Thanks again, Megan. If you guys want a sticker, all you gotta do is let me know. Get one to you via snail mail. No problem at all. Just drop me a line. As usual, we'll start with some music chatter. Back in episode 24, I had fun discussing a few one-hit wonders with you, and I think I'll do that again unless you guys have any objections. Now, there are many decades of music with one-hit wonders, so I actually have a lot to pick from. But I will be selective and call out only the best for this episode. Only the best for you guys. I'll start with a Dutch band called Golden Earring. Now, I'm cheating a little here because they actually had two big hits, but they were spaced quite far apart. So, kind of classifies as one-hit wonder for me. This band, they're Dutch, and they were actually together from 1961 to 2021. That's a long damn time. They released 25 studio albums and had 30 top 10 singles on the Dutch charts. However, in 1973, they released a single called Radar Love, which hit the Dutch, UK, and US charts. Now, this is a great song. It received a lot of radio airtime. I remember listening to it in my first car, 1964 Pontiac Le Mans. Only had AM radio and no air conditioning. Yeah, that's right. Living in Florida in a car with no air conditioning. Does take me back to my first girlfriend, though. So, Radar Love gained the band enough popularity to have 13 U.S. tours, in which they were the opening act for bands like Santana, King Crimson, the Doobie Brothers, Rush, and 38 Special. Now, during the Radar Love years especially, they had opening acts which included Kiss and Aerosmith. That's a big wow. Now, their second big international single was released 9 years later, after Radar Love. It was released in 1982, and it's a song called Twilight Zone. It's almost as good as Radar Love. And like I said, that's quite a long time between major hits, but excuse me, they seem to have kept busy, at least on the Dutch charts. Now, in 1981, the world saw the launch of MTV. And back then, those were great days. They actually showed music videos of real artists playing their music one after another. And instead of having DJs, they had VJs, video jockeys. And musical artists would create videos to promote their songs, and a lot of one-hit wonders were spawned from this. It's kind of like a decade or two of one-hit wonders for a while, it seems. Now, in fact, the first video ever played on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star by an English band called the Buggles. The Buggles. It's like Bugles, except with two G's. It's almost like they misspelled Bugles. Now, this song was actually released in 1979 and was the lead single on their first album, The Age of Plastic. Um, it really played. It got a lot of airtime on MTV. Pretty good song, actually. Soon after the release of the first album, two band members, Trevor Horn and Jeff Downes, left and joined the band Yes. That's quite a jump, I think. But they did replace Yes members John Anderson and Rick Wakeman. So these two guys had really hit the big time. Over the years, the Buggles would disband and reunite several times. And in 2023, they were a supporting act for Seal during his 30th anniversary tour, and apparently they remain together today. Another one hit wonder from the MTV golden era was Thomas Dolby with his hit song She Blinded Me with Science. Now, this is an odd but very catchy song, and the video was a lot of fun to watch. The song is actually number 20 on the list of 100 Greatest Wonders published by VH1. It's another music channel that of that day, but it's now defunct. This song is, like I said, it's really catchy, and it features interjections by Magnus Pyke, a British scientist and TV presenter. Now, these interjections were caricatured as a mad scientist, and they really made the song stand out. Science. It's a fun song. It's on the playlist. Now for the Scottish band Big Country. Their one international hit was titled In a Big Country, and their sound fused alt rock, new wave, and Celtic folk music. Now, likely due to my heritage, the song really hits me in the feels, as it's a real rocker, and it's loaded with bagpipe sounds and fiddles. Great song. It was released on their album The Crossing, which went platinum in the UK and gold in the US. And they released 8 studio albums between 81 and 2001. And the lead vocalist, Stuart Adamson, committed suicide in 2001, and the group disbanded. Okay, here's another awesome one-hit wonder. You guys familiar with the song Tequila? Certainly you are. Released by a band named The Champs. And it's mostly horns and percussion with the interjection of the word tequila. And believe it or not, this song was released in 1958. It became a number 1 hit on both pop and R&B charts. It also won a Grammy for Best R&B Performance on the very first Grammy Awards in 1958, and it's been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. I love the song Tequila. I always think of Pee Wee Herman dancing to it up on top of the bar in the movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Love that movie. The song definitely continues to be strongly referenced in pop culture to this day. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little here again and discuss the Proclaimers. Now, they're another Scottish band made of twin brothers, Charlie and Craig Reid. Their music sound includes a bit of country, folk, and pub rock, and their songs are typified by their Scottish accents. Now, they are known for their biggest hit, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, released in 1988 on their album Sunshine on Leith. Also on that album is the song On My Way, which was featured in the first Shrek movie. This album is their most popular, and there's not a bad song on it, I swear to you. Yeah, I was tempted to add each song to the playlist, but I won't do that. If you have Spotify or Apple Music, you can surely listen to the full album if you want to. It's pretty cool. I was in Scotland a few years ago, and I was on a tour bus, and we rode through the town they refer to, Leith. It was a good day. So on Spotify, this playlist has grown to 124 songs. That's over 8 hours of listening pleasure. So just put it on shuffle and listen to it all damn day, right? And now a word from our sponsor.
Hey y'all at the bottom of the barrel. My name is Ruth Ann of Ruth Ann's Coffee Stand here in beautiful Scratch Ankle, Alabama. I was tickled pink when my favorite podcaster, the famous Daryl from Barrel Full of Daryl, came by for a coffee and something he called a crescent. I gotta say, I don't know what that is. I handed him a bagel and I reckon that was close enough because he didn't say nothing. And I tell you, that Daryl was a really cool guy and had lots of jokes up his sleeve. He had me in stitches. My autographed coffee cup from him is my most prized possession now, and you can come see it on display at Ruth Ann's Coffee Stand. And I'll even throw in a free cup of boiled peanuts if you show me that you rated his podcast 5 stars.
And we're back. Movie time. Actually, I'm going to not discuss a movie on this episode. Bear with me. Last week was rough. A lot happened, as you all know. Thursday, 9/11. But that day was also the 11th anniversary of the death of my son Jake. It's rough times for me and Megan and my family. Now, Jake was a big fan of movies, TV shows, and drama in general. He was an amateur thespian and acted in high school and community plays. Now, as for the TV shows, he loved Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. And while these shows were airing weekly, he would come to my home to watch each new episode with me. So this one's for you, Jake. I'm going to talk about the TV show Breaking Bad. Now, I'm sure many of you have likely watched it, but I will briefly discuss it to spur on those who haven't. In my opinion, and those of many others, it's the best drama series to ever air on television. And there's no way in my discussion that I can do it any justice. There are 5 seasons, and it's currently streaming on Netflix. So, no gas station hot dog. It stars Bryan Cranston as Walter White, a humble, dejected high school chemistry teacher at first. And his brother-in-law, Hank, is a DEA agent played by Dean Norris. And one day after learning that he has inoperable lung cancer, Walt comes home to a surprise birthday party. And they're all watching TV, watching some like cop show, people getting busted. And Walt kind of expresses interest in what kind of guns they use, that kind of stuff. So his brother-in-law, Hank, convinces him to ride along on a meth drug raid later that week. Hank also tells Walt how much money they find during these drug raids. Okay, so the day of the drug bust, and as the DEA agents rush into the house, Walt is sitting in the DEA car, and he sees an ex-student of his crawling out of an upstairs window and fleeing. Now, Walt recognizes him as Jesse Pinkman, played by Aaron Paul, who cooks methamphetamine. And realizing that he needs money to provide for his family after cancer kills him, Walt tracks down Jesse and convinces him to cook meth together, which they initially do it in an RV out in the middle of the desert. By the way, the location is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Being a chemist, Walt knows, the ins and outs of chemicals and their reactions. The meth that they cook has a blue tint to it and a very high purity. Jesse is astounded, and he knows that they are onto something really big, big bucks. So Jesse takes a sample to two meth dealers that he knows, and they are astounded as well. So, being drug dealers, they kidnap Jesse and force him to take them to the RV where Walt sits. Now, this is really the first occasion in this TV show where the shit really hits the fan. Long short, Walt traps the two in the RV and exposes them to phosphine gas. Long short, they both end up dead. Now, Walt's blue meth is a big hit, and unfortunately, he and Jesse team up with a psychotic Mexican drug lord named Tuco. At this point, Walt adopts the pseudonym Heisenberg after the famed Nobel-winning physicist. And that's season one in a nutshell. Now, in a very nasty sequence of events, Hank, out in the middle of the desert, finds and kills Tuco at the start of season two. Now, Walt and Jesse attempt to start their own distribution network, which flops when one of their dealers gets arrested and one gets killed. So Walt hires a corrupt lawyer named Saul Goodman, played by Bob Odenkirk, who connects them with a high-profile distributor named Gus Fring. So eventually, Gus sets them up in a high-tech, meticulously designed meth lab in the basement below his industrial laundry service. And Walt and Jesse began making meth by the truckloads. And they're making the big money now. So at this point, I'm going to stop and basically summarize the rest. Walt turns into a fierce, conceited drug kingpin. There are many run-ins with the Mexican cartels and near misses with the DEA, very near misses. The meth lab gets overtaken by some gang members, and Walt has to go into hiding while Jesse is enslaved by the gang to make meth. Now, Walt eventually returns, frees Jesse, and he kills all the gang members, and he ends up dying himself. So, as with the movie, there will be blood. Breaking Bad is a story of a man who rises from nothing, hits the big time, and his greed and ego ultimately kill him. Now, if you've not seen the show, it's definitely worth watching all 5 seasons. The acting is superb, true to life. It won 16 Grammy Awards. Bryan Cranston won 4 Emmys, and Aaron Paul won 3. Did I say it won 16 Primetime Emmy Awards? Okay. It was followed up by the hit series Better Call Saul, which focuses on the crooked attorney Saul Goodman. And it also spawned the movie El Camino, which focuses on Jesse after his escape. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most critically acclaimed TV show of all time. And Bryan Cranston's fame rose exponentially. The only dramatic TV show that really comes close to Breaking Bad is Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders. That's a good one, too, if you haven't seen it. Peaky Blinders. So I've just, as usual, I've just hit the tip-top point of the huge Breaking Bad iceberg here. I'll add that there were many times while we were watching that Jake and I would kind of look at each other and say, "Holy shit, did that really just happen?" So it's must-see TV. Please watch it. Please enjoy. Word of the week. Gardyloo, Gardyloo, Gardyloo. This is actually a Scottish term, um, and it's what people in early Edinburgh would shout out as a warning before emptying their slop buckets out of the window to the street below. Yeah, Gardyloo. I hope they got a lot of rain back then. Here's another word of the week. What the hell? A bibliophobia. A bibliophobia. The fear of running out of things to read. Yeah. Isn't it great that we now have cell phones and we don't have to take a book to the loo, you know, or read the shampoo bottle? Always kept a dictionary close by. Joke of the week. Two cannibals are eating a clown. One looks up at the other and says, "Does this taste funny to you?" Question of the week. So last week I asked you, I stated that commercial planes can weigh hundreds of tons, which they do. How is a plane able to take off? And how does it remain airborne? Well, there are four forces at play when a plane is taking off: lift, weight, thrust, and drag. And it all occurs. A thrust occurs when the plane is on the runway and the pilot pushes the throttle forward. And due to Newton's third law of motion, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. The forces of the engine shooting out gases propels the plane forward. Now the wings have a special shape called an airfoil. The top side is curved in a convex shape, and the bottom side is straight. And this means that the air on the top side has to travel faster in order to meet the air coming over the bottom side. And according to Bernoulli, the faster moving air on the top causes a lower pressure than on the bottom side, and this creates lift. Voila, like a vacuum over the top of the wings. Now this lift and thrust and all that is also what keeps the plane up in the air during flight. All right. Hope you're happy with that answer. I know it was a little long. Thank you. New question of the week. So last night here in Colorado, we had a really great lightning show. There was lightning that came to the ground and some that stayed in the clouds, and oh man, it was very cool. And it got me to thinking, how many forms of lightning are there? Well, I Googled it, and now I ask you that question. Here's a hint: the number is between 2 and 100. Now, feel free to Google it yourself, or you can wait and let me talk about it next time. Thought for the week. Now, this is actually a Zen proverb: let go or be dragged. Now, to me, this means we need to let go of shit or forever be dragged down by it. Here's another Zen proverb. It's 3 words. This is this. Now, what the hell does that mean, right? Well, I think it means you accept things for what they are. This is this. This table is this table. It's nothing more. Okay. So don't forget about the playlist, Spotify and Apple Music. And also, my dumbass finally figured out how to add a playlist to YouTube Music. I've added songs from this discussion. The YouTube Music one's short for now because that's all I've added to it so far. But go to music.youtube.com and search for Barrel Full of Daryl playlist, and you'll find it. You may contact me. Please do by clicking on the send me a text button in the episode or directly at bfodpodcast@gmail.com. And again, by the way, this podcast has an option to support my show. Send me some spare change each month, $3, $5, $8, $10, or you can just mail me a check. I'll give you my address. So with your donation, again, I could buy anything from a gas station hot dog to a few more edibles each month. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I have enjoyed putting it together for you. And I will talk to you next time. Have a good one. Bye.